Hello students, this is Purvi here. Today we shall discuss about the third chapter from Entrepreneurship, that is concept of business. Let us talk about human activities. We can say that every individual is busy in one or another activity in order to satisfy his or her needs and wants. Human activities can be broadly classified as economic and non-economic activities. Economic activities include profession, employment, and business, while non-economic activities are religious, social, parental, or patriotism. Economic activities. Activities that are undertaken to earn monetary gains are called economic activities. They are primarily concerned with production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. Economic activities can be broadly categorized into profession, employment, and business. In profession, we can say that according to Webster's dictionary, profession is that occupation in which one professes to have acquired specialized knowledge which is used either in instructing, guiding, or advising others. For an example, take doctors, lawyers, chartered accountants, company secretaries, etc. Under employment, we can say that it refers to an activity where a person works regularly for others and get remuneration in return. The activities are performed according to the agreement of employment. Example, skilled and unskilled workers or employees at various levels. Third is business. Literally, we can say that business means a state of being busy or occupied. All activities performed in the areas of production and distribution of goods and services for the purpose of monetary gains are termed as business. Non-economic activities. Activities which are not taken up for monetary gains but are done out of love, care, affection, self-satisfaction, emotions, sympathy, or patriotism are called non-economic activities. Example, you carry out a donation activity which is termed as non-economic activity. Concept of business. Our key area of study is business. It includes all those economic activities which are concerned with the production or distribution of goods and services with an objective of earning profits. Or it can be said that business is a continuous human economic activity performed with an objective to earn profit by producing or buying and selling of goods and services. Now let us talk about various characteristics of business. Given are the various characteristics of business. They are entrepreneur's presence, economic activity, production or procurement of goods or services, sale or exchange of goods or services, regularity, utility creation, profit earning, uncertainty of returns, and elements of risk. Let us discuss them in detail. The first characteristic is entrepreneur's presence. There is someone who takes the initiative for establishing the business and who assumes the risk associated with it. The second characteristic says it is an economic activity. All activities which are related to production or distribution of goods with an aim of earning profits can be termed as part of business. Third characteristic says production or procurement of goods and services. A business activity is one which either produces or procures goods and services for offering it to the consumers. The goods produced or procured can be of the given types like consumer goods. Now, consumer goods are those goods which directly satisfy the wants of consumers. Example, bread, shirts, refrigerator, etc. While producers' goods are those goods which are used as inputs in production of other products. Example, raw materials, lubricants, machines, tools, etc. While services refers to those activities which benefits or satisfactions which are offered for a price. Example, postal service, banking service, accounting service, etc. The fourth characteristic says sale or exchange of goods and services. Goods produced or purchased for personal consumption is not business. The goods or services procured should be for the purpose of sale, exchange or transferring to the consumer for the satisfaction of human needs against a value or price. The fifth characteristic is regularity. One-time transaction is not considered as a business. Business must be carried out on regularly on recurring basis. If you do the activity for once, it cannot be considered as business. Business activities are those activities which are required to be carried out on daily basis. The sixth characteristic is utility creation. Business activities result in creation of utilities. They can be form utility, that is production. Now, how is that utility created? We can say that when raw material is changed into finished goods, it creates form utility. For an example, changing a block of wood into a table. The second type is place utility, that is transportation. When the goods are transported from place of production to place of consumption, it results in place utility. Example, transporting apples from orchards of Kashmir to markets of Delhi. Third type of utility is time utility, that is warehousing. Goods stored when not required with a view of supply them whenever required in future generates time utility. Example, selling canned fruits when not in season. The seventh characteristic is profit earning. Profit is the reward for the risk undertaken in any business. Any business cannot survive for long unless it earns profits. The eighth characteristic of business is uncertainty of returns. Business does not guarantee for the return of either principal amount invested in business or the profit. Now, any business activity you carry out does not guarantee that whatever amount you have invested would be returned, or even the profit is not guaranteed. The last characteristics of business is elements of risk. Business involves risks due to uncertainty. Business activities are carried out in an uncontrollable environment. The factors or forces of external environment may be favorable or unfavorable on a business. A businessman has to be vigilant all the time to help his business to survive. Now let us talk about types of economic or business activities. Now, broadly there are three types of business activities, that are manufacturing, service and trading. Let us discuss them in detail. Manufacturing. It includes all those processes which lead to production of goods or merchandise using human or mechanical power. It means conversion of raw material into finished product by use of machines, tools, chemicals and biological processing too, along with labor. Manufacturing can be of industrial goods or consumer goods. Manufacturing, described in different types of economies, can be free market economy, collectivist economy and mixed market economy. Under free market economy, mass production of products for sale at a profit takes place, while in collectivist economy, directed by state to supply a centrally planned economy. While mixed market economy, manufacturing is done under some degree of government control. Second type of business is service. Services are those separately unidentifiable, essentially intangible activities which provide want satisfaction and are not necessarily tied to the sale of a product and another service. So, on the basis of that definition, we can say that service is an intangible commodity and it cannot be stored. That is, it should be consumed at the point of sale and it does not lead to transfer of ownership. Example, service of a doctor, service provided by postal department, etc. Now, service sector includes commercial firms engaged in banking, communication, transport, insurance and warehousing. Collectively, these firms are also referred to as auxiliaries to trades. This means this sector provides the basic infrastructure for other business activities, that is manufacturing and trading. This sector is the fastest growing sector of the Indian economy. The third type of business activity is trading. Now, trading can be buying, selling or exchanging of goods and services. Also, it is an act of exchanging one thing for another and the amount of goods or services that are bought and sold. Under trading, an entrepreneur does not manufacture a product or service. Instead, he just buys from one producer and sells it to a consumer. Forms of business organization. Every business entity, whether engaged in manufacturing or trading or providing services, needs to select an appropriate legal structure or framework to work in. This legal structure determines the extent of ownership and responsibility of businessman. Choice of form of business is very important as it influences a firm's success or failure. Forms of business enterprise from the viewpoint of ownership and management, it can be private sector, public sector and joint sector. Let us discuss about them in detail. Private sector enterprises. The enterprises which are owned, controlled and managed by private individuals with the main objective of earning profits or promoting common goods are called private sector enterprises. Private individuals can form their businesses as sole proprietorship, partnership, joint Hindu family business, cooperative societies and joint stock companies. Sole proprietorship, we can say that it refers to a form of business organization which is owned, managed and controlled by an individual who is the recipient of all profits and bearer of all the risks. While partnership, we can say that it is a form of organization in which two or more persons agree to carry a lawful business with their personal resources for the purpose of earning profits. The third is joint Hindu family business. It is a form of organization wherein the business is controlled and managed by the members of a Hindu undivided family. While cooperative societies, we can say that it is a voluntary association of persons who join together with the motive of welfare of the members. And the last is joint stock companies. It is an association of persons formed for carrying out business activities and has a legal status independent of its members. The second form of business organization is public sector enterprises. Now, enterprises which are owned, controlled and operated by public authorities such as the government with welfare as primary and profit as secondary goals are called public sector enterprises. Now, these can be formed as departmental undertakings, public corporations and government companies. Under departmental undertakings, we can say that this is the oldest and traditional form of public enterprise and is managed by government officials as one of the government departments. It is under the control of concerned minister of the department who is answerable to government through parliament. Example, railways, postage and telegraph department. While public corporations, we can say that it is a corporate body with a separate legal existence set up under a special act of parliament or state legislature. They are also known as statutory corporations. Example, Reserve Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation, etc. Talking about government companies, we can say that a government company is one which is established under the Indian Companies Act and in which not less than 51% of the paid up capital is held by the central government or by any state government or partly by central and partly by state government. The shares of such company is purchased in the name of President of India. Example, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, Steel Authority of India Limited, etc. The third form of business organization is joint sector enterprises. Now, as the name suggests, it is a partnership between the private sector and the government. An enterprise is called a joint sector enterprise if the state industrial development corporations or government hold 26% equity or more, while 25% private promoter holds the equity and the remaining balance is subscribed by the general public. Management is generally in the hands of private sector with enough representation of government on board of directors. For an example, we can say that Girnar Scooters is a joint sector enterprise in which Bajaj Auto Limited represents the private phase and the Gujarat state government the public phase. Choice of form of business. Now, the entrepreneur should take decision regarding choice of form of business very cautiously as it has long-term implication on the health of business. The entrepreneur should take into account the given factors before deciding on the form of organization. Those factors are vision regarding the size and nature of the business, the level of control entrepreneur wishes to have, the level of structure the entrepreneur is willing, the business vulnerability to lawsuits, tax implications of the different organizational structures and expected profits of the business. Let us discuss them in detail. The first is vision regarding the size of the business. The choice related to the form of organization should be made by the entrepreneur after considering the given factors like the size and nature of the business play an important role while deciding the form of ownership. Small scale units can be established as sole proprietorship firms, while for medium and large scale units, partnership or company form could be opted. Similarly, for business providing direct services, example grocery stores and salons, where personal attention to customers is required, sole proprietorship should be opted for. The firms rendering professional services such as tax planning should generally be organized as partnership concerns, while manufacturing organizations of large size such as hotels, shopping malls, etc. should be set up as private or public companies. The second factor is the level of control the entrepreneur wishes to have. An entrepreneur who desires full control over business should prefer sole proprietorship over other forms because in partnership and company, control has to be shared. The third factor is the level of structure the entrepreneur is willing to deal with. This relates to the costs, procedure, and government regulation related to forming an enterprise. Different forms of enterprises involve different procedures for establishments and are governed by different laws. Sole proprietorship and partnership are easy to form, and company form requires fulfillment of many statutory regulations. The entrepreneur's ability to handle the complexity related to forming an enterprise will affect his choice. The fourth factor is the business vulnerability to lawsuits. This is again an important factor to be considered. If the nature of business is such that it is under the purview of government regulation, say a drug manufacturing company, then it will be constantly required to comply with various regulations, failing upon which would lead to initiation of lawsuits. For such a business, company form of organization is the most suitable form. The fifth factor is tax implications of the different organizational structures. Now, various forms of organizations are assessed to income tax on different bases. A company has more tax liability as compared to sole proprietorship or partnership. So, this factor should also be considered before making any final choice. The sixth factor is expected profit of the business. Now, profit is the main motivating factor of private business, and it has a tremendous influence on the selection of particular form of ownership. An entrepreneur desiring to pocket all the profits of the business should prefer sole proprietorship. An entrepreneur must adopt the form most suitable for his business and adopt some legal configuration that defines the control, that is, whether one man would have the control or it will be shared among different individuals. Also, should be based on personal liability, whether the liability would be limited or unlimited. The right of participants, whether it would be absolute or divided. Also on lifespan, whether it will be limited or it would enjoy perpetual succession. And financial structure, whether the capital will be financed through debt or equity or contributed by the co-owners. So students, this was the third chapter from entrepreneurship. Thank you.